I'm Chris Bishop, and welcome to the Small Business Show, and welcome to the hustle and bustle of Braamfontein in downtown Johannesburg. Now we're here for the story of two young entrepreneurs that began, believe it or not, on a Johannesburg bus.
Hi, my name is Phakiso Tsotetsi.
And I'm Selebogo Molefe, better known as DrLifesgud.
And we're the founders of Lifesgud Global Investments. We manufacture beanbags and ottomans and...
as well as a service called the Hookup Dinner, which is Africa's fastest rising startup movement.
Phakiso and Lebo, welcome to the Small Business Show. And to start with you, Lebo, I understand this was a business collaboration that started on a bus.
Well, we used to be enemies. I don't know why, but yeah, we were. And we took the same bus to school. We went to different schools. I went to JP Boys.
I went to Forest Hill High. I'm a Forestonian by heart.
How did it come about?
We found out that we went to the same church, and our pastor was pretty strict for whatever reason, but it was a family. And after we saw each other at church, we greeted each other in the bus.
And then we met each other in, there was a central spot called Gandhi Square, because that was very central to all of the routes if you were in the south or the north or the west. And because, we couldn't avoid each other. We met at the same spot, so it made it easier for us to become friends, and then we took it from there.
And we did like the same things, actually. Girls, good time.
I'm married.
In our favor.
So how did it go from there to a business collaboration?
Look, for us, so I went, and maybe let me start from here, is, when you've got two souls that have the same vision, the same purpose, the same kind of alignment in how you want to kind of see life. And we felt that the one thing, because we grew up in a neighborhood that was quite rough, and the only thing we both wanted was a good life. How do we get out of this whole thing? So I obviously, after I graduated, left for overseas, and I stayed away for about 5 years, and he did what he was doing at the time. And when I came back after being tired of seeing the world, I then called him and I said, hey man, what's going on in South Africa? And he said, look, I'm living the good life. And that then, I said to him, but you got to show me what this good life is. And then he sent me a few pictures, and he was living in this massive mansion house with swimming pools and tennis courts. And I'm like, okay, that's better than Hillbrook. So I packed my bags and I came back home, and only to find out that these big properties, we're renting them. And I think he can tell you that story.
And was this a route to your business?
Prior to that, I was a hairstylist. From being a hairstylist, I was a construction worker. And then got into corporate. I did a gig for about 5 years as an electronic procurement service provider. But throughout all of that, was selling clothes in the background, just trying to make an extra buck. And the aspiration was always about living a good life someday. And that's how we ended up with a couple of friends in the northern suburbs. And for us to subsidize our rent money, we had to start organizing events. So organized lifestyle events where we wanted some of our friends from Soweto and Hillbrook to experience the good life, as we call it. And through that, we got exposed to other aspects of doing business. For instance, now we needed furniture. So somebody suggested beanbags, contacted a beanbag supplier, and this guy is like, I can rent these out for you. And we rented them out, and somebody else asked us and said, where do you get these? And we said, we make them. That was the next new opportunity for us, and now we had to figure out, how do you make these things and where do you find them, the whole supply chain.
So what was the next step?
Look, I remember when we first had our first concept, which was doing metric dance after parties. And our value proposition at that time was to say, a lot of these after parties used to happen in clubs, and they used to end around 2 a.m. in the morning. So we thought, why don't we use the same property that is so big and then invite all of these metric dance after parties to then have the after parties here. It was safe, it was secure, you didn't have to go home at 2 a.m. in the morning. And beanbags then became part of the decor and the setup. So that became very popular, had a lot of money that came from that. And evidently we then started doing, these chill sessions in parks with, young ladies who had kids who never wanted to go out into nightclubs. How can we create an environment where they could be able to still have fun, but still have their kids there? Beanbags were part of the decor there as well. And as we evolved, we realized that actually we're really good at creating social spaces where people can engage with one another. And I think that's when we realize that it's not necessarily about the beanbag. It's about the comfort that you can create in the space where people can be able to engage.
And how did you get the beanbags to the people?
A bigger part of our beanbag business is more in the rentals division. We rent them out and still create the comfortable spaces. We've got a couple of clients that we've supplied to create social spaces within the corporate sector, the likes of Deloitte, where they're in high pressured environments, and we've said, here's an environment where if your employees are looking to chill out a bit, this is where they can chill and they get their creative juices flowing again.
So how many beanbags a year are we talking?
Currently per annum it's about 10,000 units. That is nothing compared to what is happening globally. I mean, we look to global standards, and we've got high aspirations around that, and we know there's a huge market. The African market is still young around the beanbag space.
So Phakiso, fast forward to today, you've now got this business hooking people up. How do you make money out of it?
I think you're better response to that.
Yeah. Well, the need really here is, we did not start the hookup dinner because we wanted to make money. We're solving our own problem, and that big problem was that we've been to so many networking functions, and you come out there knowing one or two people, and usually it's the person you came with, and then the other person who talks too much and adds no value. And we got frustrated with that, really, and said, let's let's bring up our own networking environments. And because we cannot afford to access the golf clubs and the big boys clubs and whatever, this was one of the key reasons why. And we just found that there were a lot of like-minded people in our networks that found value in that, and then we wanted to make a point. So instead of just having networking functions, because in Joburg, for instance, to have a successful networking event, you must have it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We said we want to have it on the first Friday of the month to make a point. Now, young people are going out to go and network, to go and add value to their lives and still socialize. It's an informal environment as opposed to just going out clubbing. This was the point that we were making. And the market picked up onto that. And as time went on, I mean, we've signed up our first client after a year of running these sessions. And it was purely because it evolved. So we did not plan it that, okay, we're going to commercialize this thing. It evolved, and somebody saw an opportunity and said, I'm looking for these for the community that you're bringing together right now, and I'm looking to access that.
I know lots of entrepreneurs in this town, and a lot of them spend their lives going to dinners, making contacts, hooking up. So how much of a gap do you think there is in this market? Is it needed?
Yeah, there's a big opportunity for it. I mean, the key needs that we've picked up in our community is access to markets, access to mentorship, and access to training, education. A lot of people don't understand some of the elementary concepts around entrepreneurship. I mean, we know that there's no formula, but you can follow a common thread amongst the successful entrepreneurs out there. And we've tried to create an environment or a platform that answers that. I mean, things like you stand up in front of people and you say, here's my idea, and this is what I think of it, and what do you guys think about it? And you get a peer-to-peer review mechanism in place where people give you feedback and they say, we like you, or your idea sucks. So it becomes a safe space to test out your ideas if you're somebody who's in corporate and you're looking to get into the entrepreneurship space. And it's not just that, but it's also about why we actually started this. It's about creating a network. So if I'm a person that is coming to a networking function, I must walk out having known at least 10 people. Like, it's critical for us, because that is one of the key measures or our KPIs in measuring the success. And then we bring in the aspirational platform where we bring in keynote speakers. We've had people like the Minister of Small Business come and share their plans with entrepreneurs, down to some of the high players within the entrepreneurship space that can share insights as to what is going on and why they're making it within. Yeah.
So Phakiso, is it your vision one day to have a huge hookup dinner for the whole of Africa?
Look, for this year, we're going to be very aggressive into getting into Africa. We already have a presence in Botswana, and we've done one in Kenya. We've a presence in Zimbabwe, and we're planning to go into whether it's in the east and in the west and within the southern regions as well, but focusing within the SADC region. But we know for a fact that the more we can be able to connect entrepreneurs across the African continent and for them to cross-pollinate with, whether it's services or product, or add value to one another, and the bigger the community becomes, the better it's going to be. I think this with all the technology today, borders don't exist anymore, and I think we need to be able to show that through entrepreneurship and allowing that entrepreneurs to engage on a much bigger scale. That way we'll be more independent as entrepreneurs, and we'll realize that, you know, Africa as a continent won't have to depend on external funds, because we've got so much wealth, we've got so much resources. We just need to do it for ourselves by supporting one another.
So Lebo, tell me, there must be difficult days when you've had enough and you just want to throw in the towel.
Yeah, I'm a young father. Let's just start there. So she's not sleeping at night, and I'm having to go around. Business development is a very difficult task. It looks easy because we're always socializing with people or trying to get clients on board. But the pressure of stabilizing and creating a sustainable business, that is one of the biggest pressures ever. And more oftentimes than not, you just want to throw in the towel. But I think what does help for me is now, and what I am doing, it's aligned to my passion. So on the days where I'm not feeling like it, I don't have to try too hard to get back in the game, because it's what I would do for free anyway.
So Phakiso, in the business, who does what, you know? Who plays which role?
So he's the one that has all the fun, and I get to sit in the office and do the grueling work of you know, trying to stabilize the business and making sure that the more, you know, we're out there and there's a pull of the brand, you know, it's stable in terms of systems and processes, and are we compliant and all of those matters, and also making sure that, you know, we keep the ethos and the culture of what we're trying to, you know, bring across alive. I think it's very important that even the guys that work with us, you know, the teams that we've formed are in line with what the brand is all about. And I mean, to be quite honest, we would have never been able to do it if we didn't, you know, create the team structures that we have across, you know, South Africa and within Africa.
And one last and important question, how often do you guys fight?
Fight quite often.
And it's healthy. It's healthy. You know, I've just come back from Israel, and I learned that, you know, people in Israel fight inside the boardroom, and when they walk out, they shake hands, and that's that. And that was comforting for me to know that the amount of times we argue, we can shake and walk away with it, you know.
And finally, here is one of the famous beanbags. Now, believe it or not, this beanbag, you can take your phone, you can hook it up, you can charge, you can do whatever you like. And I'm afraid that's all we've got time for on this edition of the Small Business Show. From me, Chris Bishop in Braamfontein in downtown Johannesburg, it's goodbye.